Holy City Center Radio. It is episode 70, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is January 11th, 2023. Got lots to get to, but first I have to say happy birthday to my mom. She celebrated her birthday on the 10th, so just wanted to make sure when she's listening, she gets a happy birthday. Don't worry, I called her, bought her presents. This isn't her only happy birthday message, but wanted everybody else to celebrate my mom with me. So happy birthday, Mom. We're going to dive right into the stories here because we got a few to get to. A big one that happened on Friday. So South Carolina's First Congressional District has been ruled unconstitutionally racially gerrymandered, and its boundaries must be redrawn before future elections are held. This is according to a panel of 3 federal judges who unanimously ruled this past Friday that was all the case. The judges did reject arguments that 2 more of the state's 7 House districts were also illegally gerrymandered, saying that voting rights advocates had failed to show that their boundaries were predominantly drawn to dilute Black voting power. So despite the ruling on those other 2 districts, the worst kept secret and something that most people here in Charleston already knew, that the most recent redraw of those election lines were gerrymandered, and not just gerrymandered, but done so to try to keep the Black vote down in that area. Again, this is like an open secret, but now it's official. Now the judges have seen the evidence and have had it presented to them in a court. Federal judges say illegally gerrymandered. The South Carolina ruling says that the state's Republican-dominated legislature deliberately shunted tens of thousands of Black voters from one congressional district for another for partisan gain. Doing so, the judges said, denied those voters equal protection under the law as guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. Those 3 judges also ordered that the legislature must produce a new and fairer map by the end of March. We'll let you know of any updates. But as I said, one of the worst kept secrets in South Carolina, and something we've all known, has finally been proven basically in a court of law. It's a shame, and I'm not saying that this would have necessarily changed any of the most recent elections, but it's a shame to me when this was clear as day when it happened, that the process takes so long that it's basically like, oh, you have an election coming up and this district might be gerrymandered. Oh, well, it's going to take a while to get through. So have the election and the results are the results and we'll fix it for next time. So really frustrating that that's how it works. Court cases take a long time. I get that, but it just kind of goes to show, like, hey, gerrymander to your heart's content. You can win that election and then, worry about the next one when it's deemed that you have done something illegal. But like I said, hey, at least it got there at some point. We'll see what happens when that district gets redrawn again. Sticking with politics, going to the other side of the aisle, State Senator Mia McLeod announced on Tuesday that she is leaving the Democratic Party, saying it, quote, no longer espouses the values my constituents and I hold dear, end quote. McLeod campaigned to become the Democratic nominee for governor during the 22 election. You may remember that, but she did ultimately lose to former U.S. Representative Joe Cunningham. After Cunningham got the nomination, he ended up losing in the general election to incumbent Republican Governor Henry McMaster. State Senator McLeod, who currently represents Richland District 22, said her decision to leave the Democratic Party was not meant to disparage anyone who identifies as a Democrat in the state. However, she believed that the party itself, as far as the people in charge of the South Carolina Democratic Party, were having what she called a party-focused approach, and that it was not working here in South Carolina. Some background on McLeod. She was the first woman to represent House District 79. She was also the first woman and African American to represent District 22. And she was the first Black woman to ever run for governor of South Carolina. So it appears if she decides to run again, she'll be doing so as an independent, as she has left the Democratic Party. Next up, we'll move to some food and beverage news. And what's better than food and beverages? Free food and beverages, of course. And one local restaurant will have an opportunity for anybody to pick up some free grub pretty soon. A new pizza shop in North Charleston's Park Circle is celebrating their grand opening by serving up free slices of cheese pizza next week. Benny Rinaldi's, known for their big New York style, cuts of their pizza, have opened their newest location on East Montague Avenue. That actually opened last month. They are going to host their free slice day to welcome customers on Tuesday, January 17th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Benny Rinaldi's is part of this chain that all start with the name Benny, and then they have a different last name for all these spaces across the Low Country. Some of their other locations include downtown Charleston, Mount Pleasant, and Somerville. This new Park Circle location does have a tap room with local craft beer, so if you're interested in that, they are offering that as well. Their official address is 1079 East Montague Avenue in Suite 100. So again, pick up your free slice Tuesday, January 17th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Harold's Cabin, the locally owned downtown hotspot. It's located in the West Side neighborhood, for those who didn't know. They have previously, made some changes to their upstairs space. They did like some pop-up style things for Halloween and Christmas, and now they're reinventing that upstairs space again. They will be officially reopening it with this new concept on on Tuesday, January 17th. Um, the new upstairs area is going to be called the Pickled Beat, which they describe as a quote, whimsical, speakeasy esque lounge featuring moody tones, a reimagined floor plan, updated food and beverage menus, and more, end quote. And as I mentioned, after they had some good feedback from the Halloween and Christmas pop-ups, it appears they decided to continue on and are changing to a more funky persona as they welcome in 2023. The updated space, they say, will also include deep purple and green velvet sofas, deco pattern window treatments, artwork, and some mid-century modern light fixtures as well. The new food and beverage program will also debut on that opening night. Executive Chef Taylor Hodgkins and bar manager Michael DiNicola have focused on highlighting craft cocktails. They're also going to have shared plates that'll be exclusive to that lounge area. So the downstairs area, Harold's Cabin, will be the same as it's always been, same menu, same idea. That concept's the same. It's just the upstairs area that'll be different. And the menu up there will be specific for that section. And judging by the name, you will not be surprised to know that some of their menu offerings will include seasonally rotating beet-inspired creations. Including something they said they'll probably have on the menu is a pickled beet carpaccio, which is a small plate featuring pickled and marinated beets, mushroom, and herb salad. They're also going to have a drink called the Beetlejuice, a rye-based cocktail with amaro, black pepper, beet juice, and cherry juice. So as I mentioned, the Harold's Cabin that you all know and love, still going to be the same downstairs, opening during their normal business hours, but the upstairs area will debut the Pickled Beat on Tuesday, January 17th. For more information and to follow along, you can go on Instagram, either at Harold's Cabin or at the_pickled_beat over on Instagram. For all you wine lovers out there, Charleston Wine Festivals has announced that their Winter Wine Festival will be held on January 28th at Festival Hall, which is located at 56 Bufane Street. That'll take place on Saturday, January 28th. Two sessions, one from noon until 4 p.m. The second is from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. So you have your choice there. This is obviously a 21 plus event. There will be over 50 wine selections. They'll also have mimosas, beers, and seltzers. All of those beverage tastings are included with the ticket price, while food that will be available is a separate purchase. So just know that as you're going in. There'll be live music during both of the sessions as well. So you'll have some entertainment options in addition to food and beverages. For tickets, they are available now. You can go pick them up. I would just search for Charleston Winter Wine Festival on Google and it should come up, or you can go directly to their ticket site, bigtickets.com, and search for the event through there. And lastly, I just wanted to tack this on. I think they're funny. You have to take all these with a grain of salt, but they're fun to debate and talk about and see the crazy things that these random websites come up with. And I'm talking about rankings, listicles, top 10 cities for this or worst states for that. And Charleston and the state of South Carolina, obviously these lists are put out because they want every single state to be included. So all these news outlets will pick it up and talk about it and link back to their website. So we're always included in these lists. I share some of them, the ones that I think are kind of funny or interesting. And always when South Carolina is ranked, either really high on a list or really low, depending on what the list is. So I'm going to share these from time to time, just like I do on my site. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt. They call them studies, but I have a feeling most of these are far from scientific, but some fun ones that recently came out. This one I thought was interesting. A website called Preply, which is a language learning platform, compiled a ranking of the fastest, slowest, and most talkative states. And they decided that South Carolina is the number 2 slowest talking state in America. Apparently, we only average 4.8 syllables per second, according to their, as I said, probably not very scientific study at all. However, the website does say that they analyzed 2 nationally conducted studies to come up with the rankings. You can learn more on holycitycenter.com, where I have that listed. Louisiana was deemed to be the slowest talking state. They averaged 4.78 syllables per second. Meanwhile, Minnesota was named the fastest talking state. The other ranking, not as fun. I think this is more of a, hey, let's discuss. What do you think on this? South Carolina was ranked as 2023's 5th worst state to raise a family. This is according to personal finance website Wallet Hub. They put out a ton of these studies, like multiple a week. So again, grain of salt, probably not scientific, but I think some of their rankings have a little bit of truth to them, and I'm sure some people agree and some will disagree with this ranking. It's actually a slight improvement from last year's ranking, where they said South Carolina was the 4th worst place to raise a family. So 5th worst. We're going down. We're getting closer to a good place to raise a family. But Wallet Hub says we still have a lot of work to go. Um, some of the key indicators that they use to determine what is family friendly and good places to raise a family. They looked at things like medium family income, violent crimes per capita, percent of families in poverty, housing affordability, separation and divorce rate, things like that. So again, it's just some random rankings, and they kind of average it out to come up with it. But I think I'm someone who is not raising a family in South Carolina, so I can't particularly speak to what it's like, but I wonder if some of you agree. You can hit me up on social media and let me know what you think of these rankings. Speaking of hitting me up, you can also do that about anything related to Holy City Center, the podcast, or any news in Charleston. I'm happy to hear from you on social media. You can also email me, Christian at holycitycenter.com. Let me know what you think of this new format. We're coming to you 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with the latest Charleston news. I hope you're enjoying it. If you're like, hey, yeah, this is nice, but you're still going to do interviews, right? The answer is yes. And the next one is coming up on Friday. We have a really fun interview with Chef Brandon Buck. He is the executive chef, actually, at Crush Yard, which is that new pickleball club and restaurant that is coming to Mount Pleasant. We had a nice chat. I'm excited for you all to hear that on Friday. He gave not just talking about the menu that he created and how he came up for this type of food offering in this type of business. Very unique. So not only did we talk about that, which was interesting, and what the restaurant is planning on having, and what beers they'll have on tap and cocktails. They're also going to have coffee because they're going to be open early in the morning for people who want to play pickleball. We talked about what the business is going to be like, what people can expect, the types of memberships they're offering. If you're interested in getting a membership, you don't have to, and pretty much everything to do with this business. So be sure to tune in on Friday. We'll bring that interview to you, and it's a good one. I know a lot of people have caught the pickleball bug, or at least are interested to learn more about this restaurant, even if they themselves don't play pickleball. Just really curious as to how this is going to look and how it's going to operate. So be sure to tune in on Friday. Until then, I hope you all have a great week. Be sure to rate and review the podcast. You can also subscribe on your preferred platform to make sure you don't miss any other episodes. So be sure to do that. You can also go to patreon.com/holycitycenter to help support the podcast and the website and everything in Holy City Center land. If you're interested in some merchandise, go to holycitycenter.com/shop. Got all sorts of fun things on there for you to purchase, and all of it goes back into supporting the podcast, the site, and everything involving it. Big thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins, who is the producer of each and every episode. She works with a company called LMC Sound System, a name that I've always enjoyed. She also has a podcast, F&B Radio, all about all things food and beverage, not just in Charleston, but everywhere. So be sure to download that and give it a listen after you listen to this podcast. Also, want to thank Tyler Boone, who provides the music in each and every episode. Go check him out on Spotify or whatever your preferred platform is. And until Friday with that great interview, I hope you all have a great end to your week. Good night and good luck.